definition of perjury or not. He instructed her to open the case and to get me arrested. So by that time, I already got the information and I was already in hiding. So the detective called my husband and he instructed about the case opened against me. So that case is, I don't know what happened to that case because I've been in hiding since February. So now, after I reported this corruption, there was a massive retaliation against
I can just get it on my phone.
From the SAPS management, yes, several cases were opened against me. Departmental cases were opened against me, and I was also dismissed without a trial by one of the same members of management that I also reported for corruption. He was actually the chairperson on my departmental trial. So I was dismissed while still in hiding. And recently we met with the media houses in Lindwe Mabena offered to make a documentary of what happened to me from the beginning when I started to report this corruption until now, because I'm not receiving support from anyone, although even the president is aware about my whistleblower status. The president is aware of the threat to my life because of there was a threat assessment done, and the president is aware that I'm hiding, and I'm hiding from my employees, which is the South African Police Service. So I've been running around complaining to every office possible, but I've not received any kind of help. Every time when I send letters to the president, he just refer it back to the same people that I complain about. And if I say the same people that I complain about, I'm also including the Minister of Police, because this is not the first time that I report corruption in SAPS. I started reported corruption in 2008 when the was still the National Commissioner. And although I want to make a point now, although people say that state capture start with a Zuma administration, according to my knowledge, Betty Cele is the architect of state capture. Because when I reported the corruption of the SAPS management back in 2008, 2009, he concealed the IPAD report that recommended that everyone should be charged departmentally. And I still have the report, and up to today, Becky Cele never ever acted upon. And is the one who started this police state, the one who started this state capture, according to my knowledge. So yes, coming back to the video, John, there was a cutting edge documentary which consists of 3 episodes. I featured, the first episode was from Special Assignment, and that was the second episode that was on cutting edge. I featured in the second episode on cutting edge. And then after that episode broadcasted, I got information that Mayor General Isia, who I've been implicated, who are actually the main feature surrounding all this corruption. He gave instructions that I must be arrested, because now he said that I contravene a harassment order that he obtained against me. And according to I have the judgment of the harassment order, that the conditions set in the judgment doesn't even touch on the section 36 of the contravention of the Harassment Act. It only touch on technicalities. So now I don't know whether that warrant of arrest was actually signed by a magistrate. I just got information, and then I contacted my lawyer. My lawyer called the police, and they confirmed, yes, General Isia issued instructions that I should be arrested because I exposed this corruption in the public domain. And then the second episode, which aired on Tuesday, is where my husband and Adam, unlawfully dismissed members, also highlighted corruption. And then yesterday, I received a phone call again that General Listia called from the Bensley police station it is about 5 kilometers out of Bloemfontein. He called from that police station, issuing instruction to the officers at the Park Road police station to gather as much possible police officers as they could get, including TRT, so that they can go to my house and now go and arrest my husband. So luckily my husband is out of Bloemfontein, and I called my daughter. My daughter was at work, and my 11-year-old is with my brother at home. Called my daughters. I say, you know what? The police is on their way home now. Your little brother is alone with my brother at home, and I think you should go home just to go and see, because they are going there. Those police are going to traumatize them. And indeed, they asked from the employer to leave. It was around 3 o'clock. They asked to leave, and when they arrived home is where they found that huge number of police officers. My son locked himself in the house. He took that video from inside the house through the window, locked himself in the house. He locked the gate. He was terrified about this huge police presence, and he didn't open the door. So that's when my daughters arrived, and they asked the officers to produce a warrant of arrest, of which they could not produce. All they say is they want the father's number. They want to call him so that they can come. They want to talk to him. So my question was, how do you send plus minus 15 police officers to go and talk to someone? So the intention was to arrest him over the weekend. We know how the police arrest work. They arrest you on Friday, you will be in the cells over the weekend, and then you will only go to court on Monday, on Tuesday. They will not charge you during the weekend. So yes, and John, except for what happened yesterday out at my house, I know there was actually attempts to get my husband assassinated because of the information that they have about the police corruption. I have in my possession a recording whereby the same mayor generally say, I'm saying it on national TV, I'm saying it publicly, called someone and tell him that he will pay him if he can assassinate my husband. And that is not the only recording that I have. I have more recordings of even some of his family members who also sent me information to say, yes, it's true. He also attempted to assassinate another family member because of reasons that he provided to me. I won't say the reasons now because I'm afraid to expose that person. His life is already in danger from his own family member. So, John, what I want to say now is our lives is upside down. Our lives are in danger. Our lives are not worth a penny because we have chose to blow the whistle on corruption. We have chose to put our country first. And yes, that is currently my way of life. I've been alone for the past 7 months. I don't go anywhere. I'm just cooped up in the place where I'm staying. I don't have any financial backup or means. I literally live from one day to another. And yesterday I received the email from the office of the president, from Mr. Robert Tongani, who is the PA of the president. And in his email, he stated that he referred my complaint back to the national commissioner and to the minister. And I responded on that email and say, but you sending me back to the same people who I implicated in the complaints of corruption. Both of them are implicated. Back then, Becky Taylor was the national commissioner when I started blowing the whistle, and General Masimola was the deputy national commissioner. And when the same thing happened to me, I was charged departmentally. My case was treated much differently than other cases, because in my departmental trials, generals from head office were witnesses to come and testify whether I'm an employee or SAPS, whether I should be dismissed, whether whatever. And General Masimela knows about it. He was there. He was part of the people who wanted to dismiss me. Becky Taylor was the national commissioner. He was part of the people who wanted to dismiss me. And they are still now. And what I don't understand is a question that I want to ask the president is, how possible when Judge Jake Molloy declared Becky Taylor a delinquent, to not Becky Taylor, according to the Molloy Commission, he is not even supposed to sit in a public office because he's been declared as dishonest. And Jacob Zuma actually fired him because of that report. And now here come Ramaphosa, and Ramaphosa put him in a more powerful position. Who is he? Which interest does Ramaphosa serve? Does he serve the interest of the country? Does he serve Becky Taylor's interest? Or does he serve his own interest? Because regardless of all the calls of the country to dismiss Becky Taylor, he's clinging to Becky Taylor, and everyone is just asking them, is this for his own personal interest, or what else is there behind the doors or behind closed curtains that South Africans don't know about? But
okay, Patricia, can I just interrupt you? A thought occurred. The very fact, it does seem absurd that you complained to the president and the president says, don't worry, I've referred the matter to the very person that you've complained about. But maybe there's some sort of art in that. You know, they say politics is the art of the possible. Maybe what he's doing is sending a signal to that people saying, I'm watching you. I'm watching you. Now, I don't know, we're making assumptions, but the thought did occur to me that in that sense, it wasn't just a sort of a bizarre thing. And it means that there's scrutiny. And the very fact that we're having now this video conference on this process online, it gives us another opportunity to make sure that South Africa's constitution and its Bill of Rights particularly are upheld. And that means freedom of expression, etc., and the rights and the basic rights of that we have access to information, and we hold people accountable. So I wanted to suggest that to you, and I'm going to invite Mary de Haas, if she wouldn't mind just giving some observation and analysis about what's happening. Because what really does concern me is that I can see that you've poked the bear. You've gone from 2008. I mean, you've been doing it now for, what's that, 10, 15 years.
Entire life.
You've got that, and you've actually got a lot of support from amongst other police officers. And I've been quite amazed as I've met some of them to see how, in fact, there is amongst the rank and file of the South African Police Services, really good people, and that the problem is at the top. So I'm wanting to say that what really does concern me now in terms of the escalation and why I kind of felt this was so important, and I say this for the benefit of all those who have now joined, when your children are put at risk, you know, in all matters concerning the child's best interests must be paramount. I'm a social worker, Mary de Haas is a social worker, so there's a point at which you know, if you go there, you're actually taking it into another league, and that you're going to invoke even more outrage. So I just hope that those in the police structure who are watching this, and I certainly hope there are some who are responsible, you need to know that you actually are coming up against a groundswell in this country that will not stop if you keep taking and putting children who are vulnerable in the firing line potentially of what's going on. So I just want to make that observation now and invite Mary, if you wouldn't mind just giving us some analysis.
Okay. Yes, John. And the irony is, it's not even the first time that my children is in that situation. That's why I arm them. I arm them with knowledge to say, whenever you come in such a situation, this is what you should do. In 2008, the same thing happened. My husband was arrested. There was 15 cars, police cars at my house. And my children was 5 and 6 years old at the time. My husband was in cuff in front of the children. They turned my house upside down, still without a search warrant. Still, the way they infringe my rights when they also came to my office at work to take my phone with a fraudulent search and seizure warrant. And the thing that I want to bring to you, John, and to the attention of everyone is government, SSA, Inspector General of Intelligence, the former Inspector General of Intelligence, IPID, the national head of IPID, everyone is aware as to what happened to me. No one can now say, Becky Taylor once called me in May month. He called me and he asked me, he said, I'm on my way to Parliament in Cape Town. When I come back on Wednesday, can I arrange for you to come to Gauteng? I will arrange all the logistics, but you must be alone. And I told him, I said, you know what, even when I'm going to meet you, it's going to be on my terms and conditions in a place where I feel safe, and talk to me on Wednesday. I will tell you where we meet if you really want to solve the problem with me and the unlawfully dismissed members, and we take it from there. And he never came back to me. And he told me that he had his own plans. Why did you want to meet alone with me in Gauteng? So yes, Becky Taylor doesn't intend to solve the problem. The government doesn't intend to solve the problem. I'm still waiting for a report of the Inspector General of Intelligence regarding the seizure of my phone. My phone was seized on instruction of the same Major Generalist here because he said I sent a WhatsApp about him defaming his name. A WhatsApp, John. My phone was seized, my personal was seized by 3 police officers because he alleges there's a WhatsApp on my phone that he wants to see. What country am I living in? Am I asking myself? What country am I living in? Are we talking about constitution? What constitution are we talking about here? There's no constitution law about it.
It's the Constitution that you're bringing to life, with Patricia. I know you it must be terribly distressing for you, but part of me just feels, well, constitutions are not mere text. They're things which are written in the experiences and in the lives of people claiming their rights, because they do not belong to government. They belong to us. I'm wanting to open up for people, to pose questions to you. So if you could, I'm going to also then change the view so that we have a sense of everybody, the gallery view. And if anybody doesn't want to be identified, if you could just keep your cameras off and change the name that you have, in case you'd like to just be anonymous, because we don't want to put anybody in any position of feeling like they are suddenly being thrust into the timeline. Because I have to say, so much good work gets done behind the scenes by people who are anonymous, who don't look for the limelight, who are working in the background, who are creating all sorts of connections, which of course, those who are perpetrators of this injustice and this retaliation, they don't enjoy that level of trust from people to spontaneously want to do that because they're based on fear. And of course, when you fear a person, you're not going to voluntarily and spontaneously give. So I just wanted to honor everybody that's here and say, okay, Tabisa Zulu, do you want to kind of go for it? And I'm going to pin you to the screen and tell us what your thoughts are as somebody who must find this very familiar. You want to unmute yourself, Tabisa?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
All right. Good afternoon to everyone. I would have loved to come after Umam Mary and other hands that I saw before me. I think there are two hands. I think Umam Mary is interacting well with Patricia. Let her come in, then I will come in, because I need to give my own experiences, which are very similar to what Patricia is going through, and which gives a clear understanding of what is really going on there in the SAPS with their three factions: the political deployees, the old guards, and the other faction. I will mention things when I get through.
Okay. I don't see Mary. I hope she hasn't disappeared. There you are, Mary. Are you ready? Do you want to say something? I see another hand. Georgina, do you want to actually give us a thought and put a question while we wait for Mary to...
Yes, thank you, John. Thank you for inviting me, and Aris for alerting me to this important meeting this morning.
Can you introduce yourself, Georgina?
So sorry, I thought Aris would have told you who I was. I'm Georgina Halford-Hall. I'm the Chief Executive of Whistleblowers UK, and I'm also the Chair of the Secretariat to the Party Parliamentary Group for Whistleblowing, and I work with our parliamentarians in the UK. In addition to that, I run the Whistleblowing Alternative Programme for the International Symposium of Economic Crime, which is into its 40th year. So what I would say is, I have the deepest of sort of sympathy, empathy, whichever way you want to look at it, because I've also been arrested. And I've also had my house turned upside, and that's in the UK. And I don't think people expect to find that that's happening around the world, which it is. We do work with whistleblowers all over the world. And I feel for Patricia and everybody else, but we're telling these stories, they're not changing. My question to everybody is, what do you want to change? But I'll tell you where I am with it beforehand. We've written a piece of legislation that is going through Parliament called the Whistleblowing Bill here in the UK. And it's totally about transforming the way we think about whistleblowers and think about whistleblowing. And what I'm looking for from engaging with this group is to help us to meet the bigger agenda, which is to start setting a global practice rather than a piecemeal approach to this, because we all work all over the world. We can be in one country 1 minute, one the next, whether it's online or in any other way. And you could fall foul of lots of different legislation. In order to avoid the situation that Patricia is in and many other people get into, I think it's really important now to start thinking bigger. I do hope that I'm not sort of interrupting or out of kilter with how you're feeling in South Africa. But I was talking to some of the law enforcement people from South Africa last weekend, and I get the impression they're equally as frustrated, because they came to me quietly and said, can we talk to you about what you're doing? Because I think there's some lessons to be learned. And I know you've got your own legislation, but I think it's only in sharing the best practice, coming together and having open conversations, rather than always pointing the finger at somebody, because it's more than an individual. This is about a massive process. It's a culture. And I think you, like us, from everything I've seen about the good work you're doing in South Africa, it's about changing a culture, recognising whistleblowing as a good thing, normalising speaking out, and moving away from this retaliation issue and more focused on the wrongdoing, because that's the bit we all want. At that point, I'll say thank you.
Thank you. Well, I see, Aris, thank you so much for at very much the drop of the hat this morning before load shedding kind of snagged me. I managed to quickly get an invitation to Aris to join us. Aris, make your comments and make your question. Thank you for all the way from Greece to show that we are all together in solidarity. As you have alluded to, Georgina, there is a much more global issue.
Thank you so much.
Aris, do you want to unmute yourself?
Good afternoon, everybody. Hi, Patricia. Hi, John. And hi, Georgina. Thank you for this appearance on such short notice, Georgina. Appreciate that. It is a fact that me and Georgina recently we've been collaborating together and we're exchanging ideas. And, a few months ago, I came with the idea of an international treaty on whistleblowers, which is something we can do as a global treaty on certain policies. That's going to help a lot because corruption doesn't know any borders. Now, Patricia, can you hear me? Patricia, you there?
I can hear you, Aris.
Hello, my girl. How are you?
Thank yourself.
Hang in there. You and I, we've been talking private over a few months, and I'm trying to support you in the best of my ability. I know what you're going through. As you know, we share similar experiences. In 2008, when I blew the whistle on the Katomani unit on certain discrimination on racism in South Africa. I mean, the next day on a Saturday morning, I had the police from my own unit coming to my doorstep and knock, try to dismiss me and do things to me. Unlike you, I had a European passport, I had a plan B, so I saved myself by going on Excel. You don't have that plan, you don't have that luxury. So your situation is much more severe. I know that you've been fleeing and going from house to house. I fear for your family. We are trying to get as much international attention on this as possible, because I believe that if the world knows of how South Africa is treating whistleblowers, okay, if the rest of the world is watching, things will change. It is unfortunate that South Africa cannot solve its own problems, but that's the best we can do. The fact that 15 cars came to your house, to do an arrest, we know how it works. I mean, to me, right now, the South African police force, it works like organized crime. Not all of it, but a big portion of it. That's what they do. They will show force. They will come to you with guns. They will come to you with special units, automatic machine guns. We train that way. As part of a specialized unit for 10 years, that's how we were trained to break down the person we want to retaliate against. Even if we knew he was innocent, we'll go there with a maximum force. That's how they work.
Same here.
Okay.
Here we go.
Thank you. Thabiso, do you want to make comment now? I don't know, Mary's not responding to my pleas for her.
Let me come before her, but in our culture, normally, the father and the mother comes first and the son comes later. So you have come in, I expected that she will. But let me go through this. Look, my take on Patricia's issue, taking from what Aris have said and what Georgina have just said, it's a phenomenon that is found across the world. But in South Africa, it's peculiar in this way. It's peculiar in a sense that senior people in dominant political parties controls what happens in law enforcement agencies. But going further than that, we're having a situation where some of us, Patricia's phone was taken. They don't take phones just for fun. They take phones because they want to know who are you communicating with, who are your sources, and who are you sharing information with. It even exposes journalists that are whistleblowers and everyone else. They go through WhatsApp. It happened to me. They took my phones. And Patricia is in a very awkward situation where even kids are involved. I've been in the same situation where my son was with me the other time in the house. I had met the elite unit in the police in this country, where I was submitting certain documents on human settlement corruption. Same day, they didn't even wait for the next day. Same day, people were trying to pull out the door, and my son was awake and I was asleep because I had just taken sleeping pills because I couldn't go through sleeping properly. Then he was busy playing the phone. He woke me up. Father, people are trying to pull out the door because they are trying to get in. So you are having a situation. Patricia is complaining about what the president is doing, and this needs to be heard. And I need to say this one quite clearly. I've spoken to the president. When I was shot on the 26th of October by rifle-wielding assassins, right? I spoke to the president the next day. He promised that I would be provided by protection. I mean, I would be provided with protection. But I knew when there was no action that he had been strong-armed by some people in his cabinet who are more stronger and more powerful than the South African cabinet and the South African president himself. But lastly, I was told by the former minister, and I need to say this one in public because at times there are things that we try to hide and it doesn't matter. I was told by the former minister of the state security in our country, I mean, in other countries, it's called intelligence, the minister of intelligence. But in our country, it's called minister of state security. He is now, she's now in the World Bank, Minister Andadlodlo. And I'm saying this in public so that she will deny it if she wants. And I will have a proof, I will produce proofs. I was told that she understood everything that needed to be done, and she wanted everything to be done correct, and other institutions of the state. But she was strong-armed by people from SAPS, especially the minister at the time. Lastly, I know that there was a plan to protect me because I've got through the threat assessment, one from State Security Agency and the last one from Crime Intelligence. Then the minister, the National Commissioner, General Ketlaston, he was in Angola. He sent a note to Brigadier Matebula at the time. I saw someone in our group who's called Colonel Mate. I hope it's someone who is safe, because at times they will take our things and they will come back and victimize us for having spoken out in this platform. I hope Colonel Mate is the right person. But I'm saying, I spoke to someone called Brigadier Mate. He was Colonel Mate at the time, but he's Brigadier Mate now. I spoke to him. He told me that a briefing note have been sent that I must be protected by 2 protectors from different provinces. But he later came back to me on the phone and he told me straight, there have been a political intervention. All right. If a national minister have taken a decision that I must be protected, who can take a political intervention? Nobody else. You understand it fairly well. And I've been told by Minister Andadlodlo, who was blocking the whole thing. I survived rifle wielding assassins on the 26th of October in 2019. I remain fearful of my life. I know what Patricia is going through. It's a very fearful experience. I don't want anyone to go through it.
Well, thank you, Tabiso. Well, you stand as such an inspiration for me, and I just looking forward to the film. Mary, are you here?
Can you hear me, John? I don't know why.
Yes,
I'm muted.
We can, but we'd love to see you as well. Would you?
No, if you don't mind, I'm not up to it. I've got bad hay fever. My place is blocked. I've got a postnasal drip. I can't face the camera right now. Unfortunately, you're not sneezing all over the place today, but everybody knows that I look like you get more than enough of me on the television. So, look, basically, we are an apartheid state. The government is a sham. We are, I undertook to write something at short notice that turned out much more work than I realized it was going to be. So I have spent, quite apart from a whole lot of other things, I have been not just through the Zondo Commission reports, I've been through the panel of experts, what was it called again? The State Security Panel, the Policing Panel after Marikana. Right. Now, these reports were written in 2018. The policing experts produced a really comprehensive report over, what is it now, 2022, it's 4 years ago now, it was in May, about restructuring the police, setting up a police board, demilitarizing the police, because that's in the National Development Plan. Okay, it was handed to Clearly in 2018. He sat on it for 3 years until the protest got, where is it? And he released it, but of course nothing had been done. That's why we had last July. Right. The State Security Report, chaired by Mufamadi, is almost 3 years old. That is dealing with this, with the actual spooks in state security. It is devastating, just like the Zondo Commission reports, if you read them, about the way the spooks run the country. Okay. We have become, and nothing was done about it. This is now given to the president in December 2018. The only thing that had been done of its recommendations by last July was to establish a National Security Council, which hardly met. It hadn't met before the July violence last year. After the July violence, the state security was relocated to the presidency. I've checked the parliamentary committee. Nothing's been done to implement its findings. So I mean, this is what we're sitting with. We are sitting with a state that has got no political will, headed by a president. We are a police state because they have shown no inclination. It's now over a year since last July. Have you seen anyone of any substance arrested and investigated? This is what we're sitting with because the country is run by the apartheid generals, basically, through Cele and the minerals energy complex, as Moletsi Mbeki calls it. I mean, you wouldn't have the traditional courts bill going through parliament. It was beyond apartheid, that bill. And yet this democratic government is passing it. So, I mean, this is why we can't get protection for whistleblowers. It's part of the bigger problem. They ignore the Constitution. This is absolutely clear in the Zondo reports, in the Mufamadi panel report. They're ignoring constitutional principles. They are ignoring the intelligence white paper, and they're getting away with it. And this president doesn't care. I think you've just got to understand that. So this is what we're sitting with. I mean, so that's why we can't get this. And yet, as you said, John, I mean, there's a lot of good policemen who are opposing this. And I mean, Patricia and I are working together on that problem because Patricia's not just a whistleblower, she's a human rights defender. She's standing up for the rights of these police, and we're trying to do it together because I've been doing this since the 90s as well. But so what we are wanting most of all, I think, for Patricia and for the other whistleblowers, I mean, I say to journalists, but have you actually asked Bailey why he doesn't give Thabiso Zulu protection? I don't know, we've also got these wishy-washy journalists. And I mean, if any of you, most of you, I think, have probably seen the Vuma protected disclosure. I mean, what came out of all these reports I've been mentioning is the fact that ministers run departments. It's completely irregular. We know that Bailey runs a political killings task team, so he can cover up for, if necessary, for any of his colleagues who are implicated. Completely irregular. And I mean, this is what Zondo says, and it's perfectly true. Parliament is not doing its oversight job. Why don't we have an independent IPID? 6 years after the Constitutional Court told them to give IPID independence from the police minister. And by the way, Patricia mentioned that commission into Cele. Of course, he appealed against that, and he won, and nobody took him on to stop that. So he can sit back and say, "Oh, well, that appeal was overturned." So what we need most of all, Patricia, Thabiso, we need excellent pro deo legal assistance. Quite frankly, because unfortunately, even with some of the police members I've dealt with, Dan has muddied the waters too, because of the trauma he himself had got himself into. So what we are actually crying out for, I think, is really good. I mean, look at this. Let's just talk a moment about Thabiso. They bring spurious cases against him. Where does he get the money to defend himself? Sorry, that's what I mean. So, I mean, what we really need is top legal people who will take this on, who will challenge it. Take the whole question of ignoring the Constitutional Court directive to give IPID independence. But we need top legal assistance for both Patricia and for Thabiso and whistleblowers in that position who are living in fear of their lives. Of course, there's also the question of financial support, but They need legal assistance, very, very much so. So that's
Thank
the message
you.
I would like to send out.
Georgina had a question about what is our action plan. I'd love to actually, I think in a sense Mary's anticipated that. She's saying there are plenty of people with the integrity and commitment and value base who want to and are prepared to, as I'd like to put it, invoke their constitutional, not just their rights, but their responsibility to be active citizens. But it's all then comes down to a question of the attrition strategy that people who are activists, human rights defenders, used against them by lawyers who, from state-owned entities and corporates and all the rest, who have deep pockets. So there's a fundamental unequal playing field in terms of the power relations.
My name is Dream Shodi. I'm the Executive Director of Justice Equality Foundation. All what I can say here is that I already see this as a very good initiative. I know for a fact that our constitution provides for Chapter 9 institutions that need to deal with issues such as this one that we are currently discussing now. All what I can say is that I really support this initiative. I am available to assist in whatever capacity. I'm availing myself to assist where there are issues of this nature through my foundation. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much. Well, this proves my point, doesn't it, about how there are people who are willing to contribute out of nothing. Thank you for that, and please let's stay in touch. And I'm glad at such short notice you were able to come and do this. With that, thank you very much. I look forward to the next engagement.